Yo, what's up everybody? I hope you're all doing really well. Welcome to this new video, and in this video we're going to talk about mixing. I'm super excited about this video because I really like mixing. I've been into mixing for quite a few years already, and I really like mixing, so I can't wait to share some of my knowledge with all of you guys, show me some of my tricks. Even though they're very basic, I still think it can be very fun to share them with you. We're going to be mixing one of my own tracks. The track is called Stay Forever, and it's under my artist name SemiFrench. By the time of recording this video, it's already out on all streaming platforms, so you can go check it out. It's everywhere. This mix that we're going to do today is not the mix, obviously, that's on all the streaming platforms, because by the time of recording this video, it's already out. So we're going to be making a new mix. And it's not necessarily about the mix itself in this video, it's more about the approach of how to mix and how to approach your mixes. I just want to, quick side note for all of you who are new to the channel, welcome to the channel. And if you like this, please give a thumbs up, and please subscribe. I know it's annoying to say sometimes, but it really helps me and it helps the channel. For real, like it really helps. So please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I really appreciate that. And also another side note, give me some comments and give me some feedback and let me know what you want me to cover. Like genuinely throw it in the comments, or write me on Instagram in a DM or whatever, but let me know what you want to see. And I'll cover it, like whether it's mixing, mastering. I've been doing quite a lot of mastering lately as well. Music production, sequencers, modular VSTs, whatever, as long as it's in the box. Let me know what you want me to cover, and I'll definitely cover it. That's why I created this platform. I created this platform to be of service to all of you guys and help you wherever you need. Before we actually dive into the mix, I just want to say, like, this video is not dedicated to like finishing a mix, but it's really focused on how to approach a mix and how to start. For me, at least in my process, and for a lot of I think I can speak for a lot of mixing engineers in this case. A mix is not necessarily something that you can film in just 1 hour, because a very important process of the mixing process is the revisions. Taking a step back after working on it for a few hours, going back to the mix 1 or 2 days later and think like, okay, maybe this vocal needs a little bit more compression, or maybe this vocal needs, like a few dBs of extra level. So in order to make a full video of a full mix, I will need to record every step of it, which is definitely possible, but not for now. In this video is really focused on how to approach starting a mix and how to get the balance and the right things there. So let's take a look at this mix. So this project is just a copy of the production project, but then I trimmed down all the groups and those 2 auxiliaries over here. Within the groups, the levels are still as they were in the project, which is really important, and I'll get to that in a bit. I don't know why this is so low, but it shouldn't be. Also, as you see, there are still a few MIDI channels in here. Obviously, this is because this is my own project and I do not mind mixing MIDI channels. Also, my laptop is very powerful. I think it could take me to space. So I have no problems with my CPU. If you have, just bounce it to audio. Otherwise, there's nothing special going on in this mix. Just the groups over here, as you can see. And we're gonna start with the groups closed. Before we're gonna actually start mixing, I just want to look, this is my process, and I make sure that everything is set before I go. So another thing that I'm going to do right now is I'm going to select all these channels and I'm going to create a new VCA, and I'm going to leave it on VCA 1. For me, this is very important, and I also highly recommend you start using those VCAs. Why am I using a VCA? Because the VCA is going to be a single volume button, very handy, into the stereo master channel. So if at any point I think, okay, hey, maybe my full mix is coming in a little bit too hot into my compressor, limiter, distortion, whatever I have on the master bus, I can just trim down this level, which is very, very handy. Instead of every time having to grab everything, you know, making sure that there's no automations on there, I can just grab one. In this case, my group kick and bass holds all the low end information already. If I would have my kick and my bass separately, I would make a second VCA, and that VCA will be dedicated for the low end. Especially in dance music and house music, I find it very, very important to have one level that controls the full low end. So basically kick and bass, or whatever basses you have in there. In this case, I have a group, kick and bass, which contains all the low end, so I don't necessarily need a second VCA. If I would have these two separately, I would absolutely send them to a second VCA and call that one low end, so that I can control the low end going into the stereo master bus. On the stereo master bus, I have this unit, which is from IK Multimedia. Big shout out to them. I love this unit. I cannot highlight it enough. It's such a great piece of plugin. I'm just gonna leave it on the settings that it is, because I really, really like how it sounds on this production. So I'm not gonna touch it at all. And let's go, we're gonna start. So I use a technique which is called top-down mixing, which I actually got from Michael in the Mix. I don't know if you know him. His channel is called In the Mix. I'll tag it down in the description. Michael, shout out. I really, really like your stuff. He doesn't know me at all. So this is really awkward. So Michael, thanks for your videos. But top-down mixing is basically where you start from the top of your mix. So basically from the groups and not from the separate elements. And for me, it's really, really important, because like this, you're going to start shaping your mix in the full mix, the full track, instead of shaping the individual elements. Because in the end, nobody cares about the individual elements. So I'm gonna drop the track over here, and the very, very first thing I'm gonna do, guys, and this is so important, I'm gonna take my time, but I'm gonna move fast, you know, but I'm gonna take my time to make the right balance for this mix. And first we're gonna start balancing the groups. I'm not gonna be looking into the separate channels right now, not yet. So let's go, we're gonna start mixing these groups. Where is my mixer window? There it is. Let's go. So I'm going to start with some keys. Let's take a look one more time at the level of those effects over here. Okay, so I think that I have a pretty nice balance of the groups. And the reason why this is also very nice to start mixing with the groups is because by doing this, you start seeing where you're maybe going to have some trouble and where, you know, for example, the effects and the drums, I keep on kind of tweaking them a little bit, which probably means that probably within the group there are some elements that need some separate attention. So let's look at the drums first. I'm just gonna go over here and I'm gonna go here. There's a big filter on there. Yeah, there is. And you have this clap. This is basically the snare roll. So I'm gonna call this snare roll. Otherwise I'm gonna keep getting confused. And I think that this one can be a little bit less loud. And the full drums can have a little bit more level. Just a few dB. That's really nice. Okay, I also hear some stuff in the group with the keys. So let's take a look. There's also a vocal in there. This definitely needs some reverb. So it's already there, the reverb. So I'm actually just gonna open the send and start leveling the reverb. I'm gonna call this one reverb. Let's take a look again. In this particular track, I really like this vocal to be super quiet. This vocal has no lead, no intention to be a lead in this track, so I'm not gonna push it very loud. You know, if you're mixing a pop track, you know, I used to produce a lot of pop music, still every now and then, but then your vocal has a completely different topic in the track. But in this case, I really want that vocal just to be like this detail, you know. So I'm lowering it quite low. I'm actually gonna close this input because I see that I'm giving input. You know, so the vocal is quite soft, but it's a deliberate choice. Cool. This full... Okay. Before moving on, I just think that those drums can use a little bit of reverb. And I'm gonna send this to auxiliary 2. Snare roll. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab a I really like this reverb on drums, the R-verb from Waves. And I have some of my presets. In this case, the drums really don't need a lot. It's really just... Okay, so just a tip over here. So as you see, I open this bus and I'm sending the bus pre-fader to the auxiliary, to the bus. Now, why am I doing this? Because I want the reverb input to be consistent. If I would put it on post pan, every time I'm gonna move this, the input is gonna be different to this reverb, but maybe I'm gonna, you know, I never know what I'm gonna do with the reverb. Maybe I'm gonna compress the shit out of it. And then I want this input to be consistent, because if I'm gonna compress it or distort it and the input into the reverb is gonna change, it's also gonna change the input into the compressor or distortion, and thus the sound is gonna change. So I always want this to be, you know, fixed. So I'm putting it pre-fader, so that when I send these drums to the reverb, the send is gonna be consistent. So I really like this reverb. I'm just gonna make it a little bit longer, just a tiny bit, and a little bit less pre-delay. I like this. Let's listen to everything. I really like this actually. Maybe it can have some more. And just a little bit less on the highs. I really like this. Okay, so that's very, very cool. So you see, like in whatever, like 12 minutes or so, I have a very, very nice basic foundation for my mix. You know, like of course there is still some stuff in the bass and the kick which are not very, very tight yet, and you know there is still definitely still some stuff to finish. But now obviously this is a video, so I'm going to continue mixing now for a few minutes still, and you know, get a little bit deeper into it. But what I would do right now is take a break. I would take a break, take 5 or 10 minutes, take a break, let your ears refresh a bit, get back to it freshly afterwards, and look into the balance again. You're gonna find that your balance is probably gonna be a little bit shifted, because your ears have been refreshed a bit, and maybe you think, okay, maybe those high ends, maybe those drums can be like 1 or 2 dB lower. Now, I'm saying like 1 or 2 dB, and maybe you guys think like, what does that matter? It matters a lot. It matters a lot. Like 1 or 2 dB on a mix can make or break your mix, especially on things like low-end vocals. You know, it's the balance has to be razor tight. The balance just has to be razor tight. So take a break right now, you know, take a break. And I'm going to continue, of course, but this is not the good example. So I'm going to be looking a little bit still. I know that these elements, they have some reverb already, but it's not really like in the same space yet. So I'm going to look at what is happening over here. And they are actually already being sent. But then why does that vocal sound so dry? Because it is being sent. It's also going through the group. It's also going through the same. But it sounds so dry. So maybe we just need a little bit more blend. It's better. Where's the vocal? There it is. It's better, just a tiny bit. No, it's deep house, so I need that spaciness. I like it, and now the vocal can have just a few extra dBs. Nice. Okay. The effects, I like it. The effects, I'm gonna send them to the same reverb as I used for my drums. In this case, I do feel that the effects need a little bit of reverb. There's also this crash in it. You know, it's a part of the drum kit in tracks like this. And I just want them to be in the same space as the drums. I'm not going to use 5,000 different reverbs in one track. It makes no sense to me. Okay, after this we're going to take a look at the low end. I really like that reverb, it makes a lot of sense. Just gonna... Let's take a look at it separately. Yeah, so it is there. Maybe let's take a look at it. Okay, so now you definitely, I mean, like now I'm boosting it like crazy, but I did hear a little bit of cluttering with the low end of the reverb and the bass and the kick. So the bass and the kick are already fighting a little bit for some space. The drums have quite a little bit of low mids. So I am gonna start making compromises and cut low end information out of elements that I don't need or need less than in the bass, for example. So this, I don't know if you can hear it if you don't put your headphones up, but there is definitely a difference right there. I'm not gonna filter it out completely, it's gonna sound quite unnatural, but just taking out 6 dB on this mid-low frequency of this drum reverb is making a lot of sense because I don't need it. And it's going to be fighting with the kick and the bass quite a lot. So let's take a look at this low end now that we're there anyways. Look, it's quite nice. It's the balance of the production was already quite there. But I just feel that there is a little bit of fighting and the kick can maybe be a little bit punchier. Maybe there is maybe some stuff that we can do. And we're gonna try compressing it. So let's grab a compressor and I'm gonna go for the LA2A from Universal Audio. I love this compressor. This compressor on low end is amazing. This compressor on kicks, on basses, it's amazing. It's an amazing piece of work, genuinely. And I'm gonna start compressing a little bit, and I'm not sure if this is gonna work. Look, I know what the compressor is gonna do, but whether it's gonna... I'm just missing some tightness in the kick and the bass. It feels a bit sloppy, and it feels a bit... Boom, boom, boom. And I want it to be more like bam. You know, so I don't want to lose all of that oomph, but I want to put a little bit of snap in there. So let's see what this is going to do. And maybe this, I'm just going to... So as you hear, the compressor is definitely putting more punch on the kick. And it's also putting the bass more forward, which I actually really, really like. So let's listen to it with the drums maybe. I do like this. Let's take the compressor out. Do you hear what it does? Let's take the level down a bit because it puts a little bit more level. I really, really like this. Even though now, no, this is a very good comparison actually, because now the level with the compressor on is actually lower than with the compressor off. But I still prefer the one with the compressor. So there is no way that I'm getting biased by the level change. Even it's very, very minimal, but it's there. I still prefer the one with the compressor on. So that definitely means that I should use this compressor here. It puts a little bit more top end on the kick. and a little bit more punch. I'm compressing quite a bit here, guys. You know, like between 3 and 5 dB on a mix, on a kick and a bass is not nothing. It's not the world, but it's quite a lot. And it just really puts it right there, and it makes it really, really tight. And I really like it. So we're gonna keep it there. I really like it. Cool. Cool. Okay, let's take this off. And let's take a look at those effects, because these effects in this track are quite extensive and there is a lot of harshness right there, which is just a bit too loud. So I'm just gonna grab an EQ. And I'm just quickly gonna look at this. And I'm just gonna make a dip over here. 3 dB in mixing is quite a lot sometimes. But in this case, I do think that it's gonna absolutely make it a bit less harsh. That's better. I'm just listening, looking at the frequencies. I quite like that. I'm just thinking maybe could I put like 2 or 3 dB of compression on there, just so that, like you see here on this part, there is this low end, whoop whoop whoop, which is coming up already, and that makes it very, very trippy. And I'm just thinking, like, if I would be compressing just 2 dB on here, it would push up that spacey whap, 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 and then maybe I'm gonna like that. You know, over here, anyways, guys, it's all about taste, you know. I could put the bass like 10 dB louder if I like that. And then, you know, it's up to taste, but nobody's gonna like that, obviously. So let's take a look, and this is gonna be way too loud. Okay, and I'm just gonna start compressing, like I'm looking for 1 or maximum 2 dB of compression over here. Yeah, something like this. This is what I'm looking for. And I know this is nitpicking, but this can really make a difference. I don't like it. I don't like the tone and the shape that it gives to the sound. No, so I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it, and I'm not gonna choose this, and I'm also not gonna try any other compressor, because I'm also just realizing right now the track is still gonna be, it's gonna be printed quite hot. I like to print my mixes pretty hot sometimes, so it's gonna be a little bit compressed there, and then it's gonna go to the mastering stage. It's gonna be compressed even more. I don't need any compression on this right now. So guys, 30 minutes in, and let's have a really quick listen to this break and the drop, and let's just revise quickly where we are in the mix. Nice dynamics over here. I really like this, guys. Obviously, of course, I've already mixed this track, but this is definitely a different mix. Like, it's a different mix. The balance is similar, but it's definitely a different mix. So let's start wrapping this up from here. So as you see, you know, this mix is not done like by a mile. Not. There's still quite some things I would like to do. You know, I would definitely put some more stuff on the master bus. I think those keys just need, this whole group could just use a little bit of compression. Let's actually quickly look into that. We can stay here for a few more minutes. So let's take a quick look at this. So why do I want some compression on this? Basically for two reasons. I keep on kind of tweaking the vocal, and I feel that I want to go back to the vocal again now to tweak the level, which probably means that it's hard for me to find the right level for that vocal, which probably means that the dynamic range of this vocal is a bit too wide for the dynamic range of the track. Using a compressor can make that dynamic range a bit smaller and can make it fit a little bit better. Also, this key over here, this key sound over here, if I can hear it. Oh, sorry, this key sound over here. I really like this. And sometimes the filter is going so low and it's a bit hidden. And I kind of want it to be there, but I don't want it to put it louder, because when the filter is open, it's exactly where it needs to be. So again, I'm having the same problem as with the vocal over here. It's the dynamic range is just a bit too wide. So putting a compressor on there is just gonna put everything, you know, like a little bit more tight. But also, I just cannot be bothered to put a compressor on every separate channel. And also, I'm still lacking just a little bit of cohesion in this group. So instead of putting a compressor on every separate element, I'm just going to put a compressor on the full thing. And I am going to go for something that adds quite a bit of warmth and a bit of character. And I'm going for a Fairchild. So I can either grab the one from Waves or the one from IK Multimedia, and lately I've been loving the one from IK Multimedia, maybe because it looks nicer. I don't know, but I'm gonna play the track, and I'm just gonna just by putting it on, it's giving more character to the track already, to the group. And then I'm just gonna... Hey, there we go. Nice. You hear that vocal? That vocal is just getting like, if I... This is the vocal, so look, listen to what happens when I take the compressor off. That forever is just a little bit too loud, and the rest of the vocal is just a little bit too soft. And when I put the compressor on, it's putting it right nicely in that pocket. You know, and we're compressing like 2 or 3 dB over here. So it's really nothing, but it can really make the difference. Okay, guys, so let's wrap this one up right here. Otherwise, I can keep on yapping on about mixing for another 2 hours. Trust me. But I hope this really helps. I hope this helps for you to kind of get a little bit more, maybe a little bit more organized, or maybe a little bit more confident on how to approach your mix. You know, mixing is a lot about confidence, you know, having the confidence to throw on stuff and do kind of, you know, what you think is or should be done. And it's all about taste, guys. You know, it's all about taste. And actually, you know, Dave Pensado, I don't know if you know Dave Pensado, but he's like one of the freaking OGs of mixing engineers. You know, I think, if I'm correct, he's sick now, which is a shame. Such a great guy. Check out his YouTube channel. He has done so many great mixes. And, you know, he also says always, you know, it's all about taste. It's all about taste, and it's about the taste of having the drums maybe a little bit louder or maybe a little bit less loud. It's about the bass, you know, how do you want the attack of the bass to be, etc. It's all about taste, and you got to be confident with your taste, you know, you got to be confident that your taste is nice and that you know what you're doing. And of course, you also kind of have to, you know, have the knowledge. And, you know, for example, working with compressors. I know working with compressors is super complicated. I've been working with compressors for almost 9 years now, and now I finally start to understand when to put them on, how much gain reduction do I need, etc. So yeah, but anyways, I hope this really gives you a little bit of a more clear view on how to approach your mix. Keep it simple. Start balancing your mix. The balance is so important. Start balancing your mix. Start checking your balance, you know, on different speaker systems. And also, it's so important to know what your mix is for. If you're working in house or in dance and you're making a mix for club systems to be played on by DJs, it should be checked there. You should always check your mix on those systems. Mix it in your sets, see how the system reacts. Because a club mix is completely different, you know, then it's gonna react completely different than a Spotify mix. I'm not saying that every DJ is making different mixes, but the systems are going to react differently. So if your main focus is DJing, check your mixes on the big speakers. Of course, if you're a DJ and you have a lot of experience mixing your own tracks, you don't necessarily need to check them. You're gonna know how it sounds, you know, when you finish your mix. You're gonna know how it reacts. You're gonna know. But if you're quite new and you've just been starting, you know, for a few years and you're still kind of learning how to mix, then check your mix, you know, at your next gig. Take your mix, put it on the Pioneers, and how is the bass? How is the low end? How is the high end? Maybe your effects are way too loud, you know. Just check it. So yeah, anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, please like and subscribe if you like this. It really helps. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.